Hi there everyone, how are you? So today we're going to talk about how to stop binge eating and emotional eating. And I'm so excited to tell you, I'm like jumping out of my skin, to tell you about that my secrets to overcome overeating is just hours away from launching. I am so thrilled, I'm so excited. I can't contain myself. But I wanted to share this with you, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about overeating and get through that today, a little bit today. I can't even talk, I'm so excited. So I'm Kelsie Michaud, and I am a certified health and life coach, and we are going to dive right into today's topic. So my course that I'm going to be launching for you guys, this is a course that's packed with 3 days of helping you learn how to stop binge eating, emotional eating, just so that you can lose weight, you can maintain your weight, and you can just live a healthier, happier life. Have you ever heard yourself say, I just lost control, or I just couldn't stop, or, it was like I was like this ravenous wolf who just took over my eating? Well, a lot of times that's like the self-talk going on in our heads, right? Well, these are some of the things that people who suffer from like binge and overeating and emotional eating, they use these words to describe how they feel. And that's because there's 33% of Americans are obese, okay? And on average, they're trying like 4 to 5 diets per year, but unsuccessfully, all right? So, we can safely assume with those numbers that this is a pretty big issue, right? So why does this binge eating actually happen? Well, binge eating is always a result of, just dealing with our negative emotions. So I'd like to say, if you're coming on, please drop me a hello in the comments so that I know you're here and I can say hi back. And if you're catching the replay, please comment #replay so that I also know you are here. So the process of this compulsive binging, this applies equally to like food and drugs and even people like with a shopping addiction. Gosh, I know for myself, shopping makes me feel so much better. It's like that instant gratification. I know if I'm feeling, I know in the past or even still today, like if I'm not feeling good about something, if I'm having some kind of negative emotion going on and I'm just bummed about something, I know that I go shopping and I feel so much better. It's literally that instant gratification. Even just in the process of shopping, it makes me feel so much better, so good. But, that happens with food for a lot of us too. And, this process of, going through that to make yourself feel better, we go through different emotions, okay? And these emotions they can either be a physical emotion, which is things like anxiety or stress that we're feeling. And it can also be a chemical emotion. Now, this chemical emotion are those pleasure chemicals like oxytocin that are released when our brain, eats those sugary or higher fatty foods. And then there's cultural emotions as well. And by that, I mean, that's like where people around you and just that culture that you live in, like in certain places, they put an emphasis on pleasure for you to just continue to eat more, right? You might go to somebody's house and they say, eat, have something to eat, or what can I make you? Or, they put that emphasis around that. And that's what I mean by cultural. So, because binge eating, it can be caused by, any of these particular emotions. There's no one size that fits all, right? Okay. Hi, Danielle. How are you? Thanks for coming on. So there are also, there's different levels to addiction too. And not everyone who buys a pair of jeans becomes a shopaholic. And not everyone who eats a piece of cake or a piece of chocolate has to eat the entire thing, or like a bag of chips. Not everyone has to eat the entire bag. But, each person will have their own level of addiction, and it's a matter of finding what works for you, okay? Because everybody's so unique. So there's so much scientific evidence that binge eating is primarily it's a symptom of just dieting and making that attempt to want to control your food and control your weight. So do you struggle with overeating? Because you don't need to keep living in fear of foods that you actually love and enjoy and putting them on that off limits list, because you're thinking, okay, I can't trust myself around these particular foods. They're going to be completely on the off list, right? You're not even going to put them in the house. You're going to try not to anyway, and you're going to try to hide them or keep them away from yourself. Well, with my program, with this 3-day course, you're going to learn how to not have to keep them on the off-limits list. They're going to be on every list. You're going to learn how to be able to controllably eat them at any time, okay? Because you're going to learn how to eat them in amounts that feel good to your body and move on. So you don't need, another diet to be putting you in that diet mentality or discipline mode. That's actually going to make things worse for you, when you have that diet mentality. So I teach how to just get rid of that diet mentality. You're not even going to think that way anymore. And as far as diets go, we know they don't work. That's why we don't want that diet mentality. Because you lose weight, but then about 95% of the people who lose weight by dieting, they regain it back within 1 to 5 years. That's not something that's sustainable for a healthy lifestyle, okay? So since dieting by definition is just a temporary food plan, it won't work in the long run. So because you're putting yourself into that deprivation and restriction, and you're going through those cycles, and then those diets, they only end up leading you to end up overeating or binging because you're restricting too much. And since your body doesn't want to be restricting, it doesn't want to starve, if at that point, when you are restricting, guess how your body's going to respond to that restriction? Your metabolism is actually going to slow down when you're restricting too much. So that obviously is going to make losing weight that much harder, that much more difficult. So, I want to tell you that, overeating, it sometimes is normal and it's okay. But when it happens all the time and then you're feeling out of control because of it, that can be where it gets really frustrating, and then it can have an impact on how you feel and also how you feel, physically and mentally, okay? So I have this course for you, this 3-day crash course on how to overcome overeating. It's going to help you stop those unhealthy eating behaviors, and I cannot wait to share it with you today. I'm going to be launching this later today. I have just some couple of tiny finishing touches to put on it. And this course, it's like I said, it's 3 days, it's online, it's a video course, so you go through it at your own pace, and it is a step-by-step approach to stop overeating and just start nourishing your body in a way that feels good to you. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Doesn't that sound so good? And I created this course because I absolutely know what it's like to restrict and then binge. I lived that way for way too long, and I remember it. I remember it well, like it was yesterday. And it's not a fun way to live. It's not a healthy way to live. Okay, so I would go all week and I would restrict, and even just the thought of putting like one tiny little bite of something that I thought I shouldn't have, I was like, no, I can't do that. That it's going to ruin my whole week. And it's going to ruin the scale number that I want to see by the end of the week. That was my mentality. And let me tell you, that's no fun. That's depressing, really. It brings you down. So, the weekend would come and it would be like a free-for-all. And I mean free-for-all. It wasn't just a cheat meal. It was a cheat day into the next cheat day. And then Monday would come along and I would feel bloated and gross and try to get all of that grossness off of me. I'd work all week to get that grossness out of me again, and then start that cycle again. And like I said, it's definitely not a healthy way to live, not mentally or physically. And I do not live like that whatsoever anymore, and I am so happy, and so it's so freeing. It really is that weight lifting off your shoulders, so to speak. What a difference how I feel, and how I have learned to just eat and live in a way that feels good to me. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, but I do it in a way that it is just feeling good to my body. If I want to have a brownie, if I want to have a piece of pizza, I'll have it, but I'm not going to sit there and eat an entire large pizza on my own like I have done many years ago, because that doesn't feel good. But now I eat to a point where I know nothing is restricted, so I don't have that feeling of being deprived anymore. So that makes such a difference, and I give myself full permission to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I honor my hunger and fullness at all times. And some days it's harder than others. I'm not saying it's it's not a magic pill, that's for sure. You still have to work at it, but it takes time. And then over time, as you start living like this and practicing these habits, it just becomes easier and easier, like anything that you practice more and more. And there's, within the program, I give you a video, so I teach you, I give you some information, and then you go to a worksheet that that you can download, that I created specifically for you for each day. And those are going to be your action steps, and you're going to practice these action steps day in and day out. But they're really small, so they're not something that's like it's not going to overhaul your life and you feel overwhelming, or like you can't do it, or because it's such a change that you don't want to do it. It's not like that at all. It's just a small little change that you're going to practice until you get to the point where you're just practicing it and doing it without even realizing it. And you're like, oh wow, this is great. Now I'm doing these things that I've been wanting to do for so long, and living the way I want to live without having to think about food all the time. And if I do think about it, I can have it, and I can eat it in a way that feels good to me. So if you have any questions as I go along, please feel free to pop it in the comments, because on my journey to becoming a health and life coach, I came to understand why I could not stop overeating at times. And that's part of this program too, because when you're dealing with overeating, you're dealing with emotional eating. And it's really important to dive deep and get to the bottom, the underneath, what's covering up everything. We're covering it all up with the food. And we want to get underneath there and get underneath all of that and discover why we're feeling what we're feeling, so that we can move on and eat in a way that feels good to us. So that's part of the program as well. And, what I needed to do to stop, this eating behavior, stop this cycle, I learned to enjoy food again without that worry of binging, because I'm eating something that I absolutely love, and now I want to be able to teach you the same. So that's why I've created this course, and it's something I created it because I want to be able to teach you, but it's also very affordable. I wanted something that was also affordable to you, that actually works and is sustainable for you. It's only $37. I'm launching it today. This is our pre-sale. I'm not sure how long the pre-sale is going to go for, but $37. It's not expensive. I wanted it affordable for you. And on top of that, I also want to let you know that if for some reason you're someone who's not good with technology, or you don't want to watch a video, you don't want to do anything like that, well, I'm also offering it as a one-on-one coaching as well. And that is, if you do one-on-one with me, that is $111. I'm going to do $111 if you're one-on-one with me for 3 days straight. Okay, you get me 100% for those 3 days, all focused on you and your goals and your needs. So you have that option. You can weigh it out, think about which one would more benefit you more fully, which one works best for you. So let me know if you have any questions, and just pop them in the comments. And I'm going to hop off, but I hope you all have a very beautiful day, and I will be talking to you soon. Bye, guys.